Okay, so in today class, we're going to start prompting, which is very, very important. So let me recap. As of now, I think we have good understanding about what is LLM. Okay, we have seen a couple of SDK also like OpenAI, Google Cloud, transformer based like Hugging Face, open source. Okay, and as of now, I think we have become comfortable with the LLM, how to use LLM. Okay, all the SDK. So one of the essential part of using LLM in generative AI application is about prompting. Okay, so prompting is very, very important part. As we discussed, okay, let me give a background. As we discussed that we're using some LLM, right? So LLM has already been trained on huge data. Okay, LLM, just give me 1 second. So LLM has been already trained on huge data. They have seen a lot of data corpus, okay, and because of LM, because of language modeling, they understand a lot of context. The LM understand the nuances, the context, the meanings, okay, the relationships, okay. So this kind of training is already happened on the LLM. And in the phase number two, if you have watched the previous recordings, then we do instruction training. Okay, once first the first phase we teach our LM to understand the context, language modeling, and in number two phase we give a lot of instruction. So we train our model to understand the instruction, like prompt. Okay, so that kind of training is also there. Okay, but still we need prompting. Okay, why we need prompting? Because suppose you have your own data, you have your medical data, insurance data, manufacturing data, you're working in some domain, right? You have some industry domain and you want to ground your LLM to understand your data and get your job done. Okay. So here I have to again give a kind of instruction training. It is called instruction training. Okay. So I have to tell LLM to behave certain way. I have to give some instruction training to behave a certain way so that it can understand my data, it can understand my requirement, that what I want. Okay, you don't have to deviate because maybe you have a lot of trainings on different data, but you have to understand my data. Okay, so it is more like a call grounding. So you are grounding your LLM to understand your data context so that they can understand your context. Okay, so this happens with the instruction, with the prompting. Okay, so prompting, if I'm using prompting, it is not like a fine, I'm not doing a fine tuning. Okay, whatever behavior the LM has, their weight and bias, the parameters, okay, that I'm not changing. I'm not changing any configuration or any parameters of LLM. I'm just telling my LLM, follow my instruction, understand my data, okay, understand my requirement, okay, and give me the output. That's what I'm doing with the prompting. Okay, so prompting is more like it's that you are giving some input instruction to get most accurate, relevant, and useful output based on your data, based on your context. Okay, you're giving some training to LLM with the instruction to get the more accurate answer. Okay, so prompt involve instruction. You're giving some instruction that you have to do this way, you have to do this way, you have to give me output in this way, you have to act like that. I will talk about that. Okay, so it had two parts. One is the instruction part. Okay, we give some instruction that you have to follow certain rule. There are some certain context. Okay, and along with that we also give a context. So context is nothing but it can be your data. Okay, it can be your structure data. Okay, it can be some I mean I need to give some context. Okay, not only instruction. So if I give instruction and some context, then learning will be better. Okay, so generally we give instruction with some context. Okay, so it's a technique for directing LLM response toward a specific outcome. So we are just giving an instruction to LLM to respond according to my outcome. What I want some outcome from my context. Okay, so I'm giving some instruction to give some result. Okay, so here we are not altering the model weights or parameter. Whatever they have, the learning, core learning, whatever training parameter they have, we are just using that. Okay, we are not going to alter them. Okay, so it is called prompting. Okay, so
One question, basically, right? All LLMs are pre-trained, no? Or
Yeah,
they know the exact context. I mean, not context. They know the nuances and techniques from the language modeling.
right.
But how do we give knowledge about the domain expectation? Whether do via prompt or is kind of
Via more context. Suppose you want to make your LLM more like a medical
mm,
practitioner or medical expert. Okay, then you can give more instruction, you can give more training, more context. So they will become like a medical practitioner or who can understand about medicine, who can understand about
what I
disease.
thought in my right prompt is a kind of way of giving proper inputs to get the insight from the LLM. But are we giving our training to the LLM by prompting?
Yeah, we are actually you're training actually. It's a part of instruction training. You are training your LLM to behave certain way. But you're not doing a fine tuning. Okay, it's not like you're changing the weight and bias or parameters or the core learning.
So, can I take this? All like LLMs are mostly have wide knowledge data and diversified knowledge about all domains. But if you want to
Yes,
be more vertical based, then via
yes.
prompting you can achieve that, right?
Yeah, in certain way, yes. It has, I mean, they understand a lot of things. They are very generic, okay, but you want to make it a specific in some way to behave a certain way. You are changing just behavior, okay. Just you have to behave according to my domain, according to my requirement. So they will suppose if you show some data that this is my context, this is my relations. For example, let's suppose you have built one graph database, okay, where it has an employee department. Suppose this is for suppose HR. This is for HR system, okay. You want to train your LLM that you have to behave like a HR expert. You understand about who are employee, who are working in department, who have a salary. You want to give some. Suppose you show all the schema, all the complex structure that how my department has been built, how the HR department is functioning, what are different department relationship. Okay, if you show some everything, all the context to LLM, and you give some instruction, so based on the context you have to behave like that, so that LLM will start behaving like a HR professional.
Okay. So by proper training, it will become a domain expert, or we need to do for every prompt. Hello.
Yeah, see here, yeah, it will behave like that, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it will behave like according to your context, okay. But it is, I mean, they will, it is not like, I mean, they will not become, I mean, uh, like that, you can consider like that. So I'm showing the medical data, this is all instruction, okay, but they will start behaving like that, they will start behaving like that. But they haven't, I mean, the training is still on the large corpus. The training data, that LM has seen all the data,
Yeah.
medical, non-medical, all the data, okay. But if you want to build some model which is only for medical, suppose you have very specific requirement, no, I want to build a model only for which is my own custom data, only medical data, then it's called fine tuning. Then you have to take some pre-trained model and you can do fine tuning on your custom data. So that's a different part, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not showing my medical data, I'm not doing a fine tuning, I'm not doing a from scratch, I'm taking the fine tune model and doing a changing their behavior. They will understand only my corpus on my data. It is not like prompting is not like that.
Mm.
Prompting is that they have seen the all the data while training, but they will start behaving like my requirement. I mean, from the prompting, you're just changing their behavior. You're not changing. I mean, the training you're not changing. Okay, whatever they have learned, the training, the data, everything, it will be still intact there. Okay, you are not changing the those things, those aspects, the training parameter, those aspects will remain intact. You are just changing their behavior, that's all.
Yeah.
We will say some example.
Anyway, web prompt will not give any data set to train. That's what I mean, right? So it will not give any data set extra to train. It's already trained data and trained LLM, but we are giving the proper prompt to get the desired output.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. Yeah. Understand any confusion here?
No, it's clear. The only thing is, one point you mentioned, right? All LLMs that does not maintain memory, right? Every time we have to speak the context, or it will record properly. So even prompt also is the same, right? We have to give a proper context before every generation of text. And
Yeah.
correct.
Yes. So every time you have to send the system prompt, okay, and your question, your context, query, okay, then it will start. As per the system prompt, they will become. They will start behaving like what you want. So it's very. You can do fine tuning also. Okay, let's suppose you have a specific thing that I have some HR data or insurance data, or suppose banking data, okay, or medical data, okay. I want to build LLM, SLM, which is only to train on my data. That's a different story. You are training the whole model on your specific data. That's a different thing. Here we are not training the model for on my data. I'm just giving instruction. Okay, I'm just changing their behavior to get my output. Okay.
Okay.
So there's some technique there how we can do that. We will learn that. Okay, in this class. Okay. So that happened with the prompting. Okay, so prompting is more like it's more like a skill. Okay, it's more like a arts. Prompting is more like a you should have a like it's I feel what I feel about prompting is more like a driving. Okay, the more you drive, maybe in the beginning you will not be a good driver, but you start driving, you feel experience, you get more comfortable, then you will become more good prompt engineer going forward. You will get more experience. Okay, so if you do one and two project, you will find you become comfortable going forward. Okay, and also with the prompting, this is also I have experienced that for writing a good prompt, you should have a domain experience also. Okay, let's suppose you want to get some output. Okay, and you're giving a training to LLM using prompting. Okay, and get a desired output, you should have some context. What you want to get. Suppose I want to get I want to train my LLM to write some good email, professional email. Okay, so you should know you should have a domain. This is a prerequisite that you should have a domain experience that how to write a good email, how to write a professional email. Okay, so that knowledge you should have. So if you have a domain knowledge kind of, then it will help you to write a better prompt. If you don't have a domain knowledge, then get help of some domain person who understand the context, who understand the business or domain. Okay, and then that you can give the instruction to LLM that you have to behave like that. So domain experience also plays a very important role here to to design a good prompt. Okay, so there are some couple of basic structure. If you designing a prompt, then there are couple of there are some basic structure. Okay, so let me talk about that. There are some multiple types of prompting style. There are multiple typing. We will discuss there. There are multiple types we can use prompt. Okay, maybe not everything. We will learn everything here, all the type of prompt, but maybe you will not use all the prompt typing. Okay, maybe in project at one time. Okay, but there are a couple of prompt typing, prompt styling we will understand. But they are the structure. If you're writing any prompt, they are the structure that rule. Okay, so you have to give us some role, a specific role, that how what the AI is going to do, what AI is going to play that role. Okay, for example, you are a email writer, act like a technical document writer, act like a banking domain expert, something like that. Okay, you have to assign some role to LLM using prompting. Okay, so this role helps the LLM to become more grounded into that domain. Okay, you can define some role. Okay,
And the square brackets, you have a role, right? Do we need to type text also while querying the LLM?
you have to define like this. Okay, for example, you are going to act like a very highly skilled, experienced sentiment analysis expert. You are like that. You can type that you are expert in sentiment analysis, or
Okay.
you're expert in medical billing. You're expert in diagnosis that disease, something like. Whatever you want to get right, you have to assign some role. It will help to become more grounded. Okay, so give some role. Okay, act like, or your role is like that. Okay, so you can give some role. Okay, and task. Because the purpose of prompting is to get some tasks. You have to give some tasks that I will discuss. Okay, and context. Give some context. Okay, instruction is one part. You're giving instruction that you have to behave like this, okay? But if you give more context, more example, okay, it is called few sorting, zero sorting, few sorting, I will discuss. So if you give more context, okay, then it will, it able to learn faster and it will not hallucinate if you add more context, okay? It is more like a background information, okay? For example, suppose I want to, suppose I want to train my model for medical history, okay, medical data, right? A kind of disease, different disease. They want to identify different disease, their symptoms, their symptoms, their root cause, something like that. Okay, so you can give some example that for this kind of, this is the disease, for this kind of disease, this is the root cause, something like that. Okay, so it's more like a context. Okay, you can give more context. Okay, and so it is more about context, about more history, more background. Okay, and also while see LLM, once you add the context, you giving instruction, they will start generating. LLM will start according to the instruction, they will start generating some content for you. Okay, but while generation, you can also give some constraint. Okay, that boundary. It is called boundary or limitation. Okay, I mean how you should output, how should generates content. Okay, so I'm giving some boundary. Okay, so for example, you don't have to, for example, uh, suppose I'm generating some query, okay, dynamic query. Okay, so while generating some dynamic query, I can give some constant that no, you don't have to use, you don't have to give me more explanation. Okay, you just write query. Okay, sometimes what happen, because of LLM, they start generating more because it's more like a probability, right? We understand that it start finding the most probable token. Okay, so while generating the query, it will give more explanation that, okay, this query is generated by because of that. Okay, they will start giving explanation. Okay, so I don't want that. You don't give me explanation, only give me the query, something like that. Okay, so I'm setting some boundary here, limitation that you don't do much. I only want that. So you can set some boundary. Okay, and also output. Suppose I want something in certain way. I suppose I only want JSON. Okay, I only want a string. I only want a list. Only want dictionary. Okay, so while generating the output, you can give a boundary that I want in this format. Other, if you don't give any output format, they will generate string. Okay, by default. So if you want to, suppose I want, suppose I want to get only output as a JSON. Okay, then you can give a direction that no, I want only in this format. So you can pretty much control that how what can be the output format. Okay, so these are the boundaries. So while generating, you can set some boundary that you don't have, you have to avoid this. Okay, this is not the valid things. Okay, these are the valid. Okay, so you can give some example. Okay, for this kind of question, these are the valid examples. These are the valid things, these are invalid things. Okay, so here I'm setting limitation, I'm setting some boundary. Okay, and while generating the output, I want in some certain format that you can control. Okay, so you can control the boundary and format while generating the response. Okay, and you have to give some context here, you have to assign some role. Okay, and if you give some example, okay, suppose you want output in certain way. Okay, so how to generate, suppose this is my query. Okay, for this query, this is the expected answer, this is ground truth. Okay, so if you show LLM, suppose I want to do sentiment analysis. Okay, so for sentiment analysis, I can give some example. Okay, for example, this kind of question. Okay, this, suppose this is my statement, this means the customer is happy and satisfied. For example, I don't have example here. See, I'm giving some instruction, do not remove. Okay, so I'm limiting, I'm giving some boundary here. Okay, so you can give some example that okay, I have some zero sort, few sort example. Yeah, like this. Okay, so for example, I'm doing a class sentiment text classification task. Okay, so here I'm giving example. See, if this is the ticket. Okay, this ticket is a category, is a technical, it's come under technical category. Okay, this kind of ticket comes under billing category. So in order to, if I give some examples, it is called few short example. If you give some example, if you show an example to LLM, then I mean you're making more grounding. Okay, so they will understand the context, they will understand the example, and they will generate in that direction. I mean, you're just giving you some direction that in that direction you have to go. So it is called few shot. Okay, so sometimes giving example help your accuracy become better if you give some more example, show some example. If you're not getting better accuracy, then try to give more example, so it will more become grounded. Okay, so we have to give some example. Okay, so these are the basic format. This is not the hard rule that you have to follow everything. Okay, there's no such hard rule that I have to give role, task, context. Okay, that comes from practice, or that's come from suppose there are a lot of permutation combination, but these are the format we can follow. Okay, so output, constant, context, task, role. Okay, okay.
But
So
actually, right, when remember we had a point when we spoke with LLM, right, we very, very conscious about the local student exchange. So, but all this communication, what we brief here to LLM, right, it is accountable for content.
yes.
So, how do we manage balance this one? Whether to give detailed input to the LLM or we have to concise and
Yeah, balance, you have to try. It's a more like experiment. Okay, you try multiple version of prompt. Okay, and see how much you're getting accuracy. You will not in one shot you will not get the right prompt. It is come from versioning. We try multiple trial. So with a multiple trial, you try this way, that way. There's a more like experiment. Okay, you will not get a optimize or best prompt in one shot. It will come from multiple trial. So it is called prompt versioning. Okay, we learned that we create multiple version of prompt, and we will see that which version is giving better accuracy, and we maintain the history also. We maintain the prompt history that when I was using version one, it was this accuracy. Version two, this accuracy. Okay, so this is a incremental work. Okay, it is not like that. Suppose you written some prompt, and maybe after some time this prompt will not work because of diverse questions or diverse query or some context. Okay, so again, we have to, maybe again you have to do reprompting. So it's come from multiple trial. Okay, so the idea is that your prompt should be very clear. The more it should be very specific. Okay, don't do one thing. Don't concise. Don't do a lot of verbose things. Okay, earlier I used to think that if I give more context, more verbose, then it will become better. No, it will. If you add a lot of verbose, a lot of example, a lot of repetition, then model will start confusing. Okay, don't repeat your same thing. Okay, and if there are two-person, one person same concept, they can speak maybe in a lot of number of words, or they have to use a lot of sentences. Okay, and another person the same thing, he can speak in just limited words. So you have to think like that. Okay, you have to give a prompting in such a way that in the limited word, you have a limited word, in the limited word, in the limited sentence, you give a lot of instruction. So it should be very concise. You have to focus on conciseness. Okay, your prompt should be concise. Don't give a lot of repetition of verbose kind of things. Okay, so it should be very concise. Context is the king. It should be very specific, very clear. Okay, for example, your prompt should be very. It should not be given very generic. Okay, it should be very specific. The more you become more specific, you add more example, more specific. It will give a better result. Okay, for example, if you can see I'm given some example here. Suppose I'm write an email about the project updates. Okay, so here there's no context. You're just saying that write an email about the project updates. So what is the project? There's no context here, right? I'm just telling that write email about the project update. Okay, so here in this case it's incomplete. Okay, so become more specific, give some example. Okay, but don't repeat, don't duplicate, don't repeat, or try to use a lot of words. Okay, try to use limited. Just think that you have limited words. Okay, in the limited words you have to tell a lot of things. That's what you have to think. Okay, so this can be so this is a better prompt. Write a polite email to engineering team informing them that the project deadline has been moved from Friday to next Wednesday to the backend days. Use a professional tone. Okay, output, I'm giving direction that while generating what kind of tone you have to use. Okay, how to behave. Okay, and how many words you have to use. Okay, emphasize this on the insert quality, something like that. Okay, so this all things come from practice. Okay, so I'm setting a lot of context. I'm giving that you have to write a polite email, okay, to engineering team. Okay, and I'm giving some context that it is about project deadline has been moved from Friday to Wednesday due to backend days. Okay, and use a professional tone. I mean, how you have to behave, how you have to output. I'm giving some tone here. It's called tonality. Okay, keep 100 words. So you can see that in a short word, in the limited word, I'm giving a lot of information. Okay, so best way is that, okay, I'm giving the how to do that. Okay, suppose this is one prompt. Okay, so this prompt is very big. Okay, it's a sentiment analysis. Okay, I have to make it very concise or very specific. Okay, so best way to achieve that is using the LLM itself. So LLM can generate prompt. Okay, I'm giving example. So generally, what I do, I don't write any prompt from scratch. I always, in the first draft, I always use LLM to generate my first prompt. Then I optimize it. So you can take help of always LLM. Okay, don't try to write everything from scratch. Okay, for example, this LLM. Okay, I'm going to my and you can use any LLM. Maybe Cloud will work here. Cloud, ChatGPT, any LLM. Okay. If you're using Copilot, then you can use a Copilot. Okay. You can say that make this prompt. I have already a prompt. Make this prompt more concise. Okay. And I want in max 50 words. So this whole prompt we become more concise. So because LLM is very smart, so they can make it concise. So once you generate the any prompt, always verify from the LLM. You can see that. So this whole chunk of prompt will come into this word. Okay. So classify this customer review in sentiment as positive, negative, and review with this. Okay. Respond with sentiment. Okay. If you want to get example, add some examples as few short in previous prompt. So I always use LLM to generate prompts. Okay, I don't write prompts from scratch. You can see it's giving more example. Okay, so like that you can tweak it. Okay.
Here I have a query. You're speaking with LLM, right? But you're not giving memory support. How this is able to correlate your previous prompt with this story?
No, this is cloud, right? They have a memory.
Yeah, they have memory.
Yeah.
But in the actual projects, will you use Cloud and
Yeah, in actual project, you will use Copilot.
Copilot? Part of ID, right?
It's
Copilot.
a part of ID like this. Okay, you can chat. I'm using in our project we are using Copilot.
Again, Copilot also uses the same kind of memory, right?
Yes, yes. So for example, like this prompt. Generally, I use Copilot. Then prompt more concise.
Because environment tools, mostly they used to integrate with the Copilot, a cursor or coding.
Yeah, you can use any tool, cursor, Copilot. But generally, if you're using some tool, they will use your Copilot generally. So you can in my project, I'm using Copilot. I'm using cloud model, so it works pretty. It's good result. Okay, so like that you can tweak it. Okay, so always use LLM to generate prompt. Okay, don't write from scratch, but you should know the rules. Okay, what are the ground rules? Okay, then you can again do a fine tuning. Okay. Yeah, so there are some example here. So be very concise. Don't give a lot of verbose or repeated things. Okay, it will. I mean, if you give a lot of things, then LLM will start confusing. Okay, this is one rule. Be very clear, very concise. Okay, use limited word. Always remember in your mind that you have limited words. You don't have a lot of words. Okay, your words are limited. Thing like that. Okay, and assign a persona. Give some rule that you. Some role like you are this. Okay, you act like this. Your role is this. Something like that. Okay. For example, here I'm giving persona that you are a senior DevOps engineer with 10 years of experience in cloud security. So it become more grounded. Okay. So they will start behaving that, okay, I have to think like DevOps engineer, 10 years of experience, cloud security. So they become more grounded in this domain. Okay. So it helps a lot sometimes. Okay. So give some role here. Okay. And then this part is the rolling part. I have given the role. Okay. Then I'm giving some more context that analyze the attached Kubernetes deployment YAML file for potential security vulnerability and suggest best practice for strengthening it. So this is my context. This is my role, and this is my context. Okay. So always give some role. It become more grounded. I mean, it give a good result. If you give some role. Okay. This is the best practice. Okay. These are the best practice I'm talking about. Okay. Become more clear, more context. Don't give a lot of ambiguous thing or repeated thing or verbose thing. Make it very short, very concise, very short. Okay. Give a persona. Okay. And if you give some example, suppose you want to get this result. Okay. And you have some query. Okay. So for this query, what can be the expected answer? It is more like a ground truth. You're just showing this ground truth. Okay. So give some example like this. For example, for input, for example, here, I'm giving examples showing the AI what does a good answer look like. One of the most effective way to ensure quality. I mean, the response quality will be very good if you give some example. Okay. For example, translate the following technical terms into French for the European documentation. For example, load balancer. Okay, so load balancer can be translation is like this. Okay, so based on your domain, based on your experience, based on your problem statement, it gives an example. Okay, for example, I have given a lot of example. I have shown severe few short. Okay, like this. Okay, so yeah, for example, here this is my task that I want to do a text classification. So classify customer support ticket into 3 category. Okay, so I'm giving some example. This kind of things comes into this category. This kind of example comes into this category like this. You can give at least 2 to 3 example, then the quality becomes better. If you're not getting good quality, it is called few shot. Okay, so persona few shot. Okay, and to make your suppose you are writing a lot of things. Suppose your prompt is a bit long. Okay, you're adding a lot of context, you're adding a lot of rule context, you do this, avoid this, okay, follow this, something like that. You're doing a lot of things. Okay, so it is a best practice. We write separator, okay, like hashes, okay, like this. Okay, there's no any fixed rule, but it's a best practice. Use some like to just separate, use some this kind of hashes. Okay, then it become better. Once again, let me give example. For example, I have written one prompt. This is one of the system prompt. Okay, this is for writing. It's not loading. Okay, do I have the project? Yeah, this is one of the prompt which I have not written, to be honest. I have just asked LLM to generate this prompt. Okay, you can see this had a lot of it's a bit bigger prompt. Okay, so here I want to generate email. Okay, for my nurture. Okay, I'm getting student just like you, and I want to send an email to nurture my student for generative AI. Okay, so here you can see that I'm giving some. I have multiple section. Okay, for example, agent role, identity, target audience. Okay, core pain point. Okay, email composition guideline. Okay, how the tone and what the tone should be for writing email, style should be, structured requirement. Okay, and email type. I'm giving some examples. This is a few short example. Okay, I'm giving some WhatsApp CTA guideline. You can see that. So I have multiple segment. Okay, so what I'm trying to say that if you have multiple segment like that, then you can use like hashes. Okay, so it becomes. I mean, LM become good to read it. I mean, it's become you improve the readability for that purpose. Okay, So like that, you can add some hashes, and so they will understand that this portion, whatever you're writing here, it belongs to this segment. It helps to improve the readability of your prompting. Okay. So you can see that I have, for example, here I want to write an email for my audience. Okay, and I'm giving some instruction that how to write an email. Okay, so so I'm giving some role here. You can see it's a role part. You are expert email copywriter or AI career, especially in the helping working professional, something like that. I'm giving some role. Okay, and the target audience. So you can see that I'm giving a lot of context. Okay, you have to write an email, and who and for who is my audience. Okay, so here I'm giving some example. So the audience are working professional. Okay, this is this. I'm giving a lot of some example here. So LM will understand my target audience, and according to the audience, it will write the email. Okay, their mindset. Okay, these are all things. Their core pain point. Okay, if they write the email, they will address this core point. I mean, they will write the email around this core pain point. Okay, so you will, I mean, they will write some email which is will, I mean, according to this pain point, which they want to solve. Okay, what tone I want. Okay, uh, okay. Suppose a structure requirement, then a subject line. Okay, subject line should be how long. Okay, provide 2 to 3 subject line option. Okay, opening hook. If you start a email, that how you will open, what is the first line. Okay, so it's called a hook. Okay, CTA in the last of the email, I want some CTA that join my community, something like that. Okay, these all things. So this you can see email type rotation. Okay, so suppose I'm writing this, I'm using this system prompt to generate the email. Okay, so also I'm giving some example that not write every time. Don't write the similar type of email. You have to do some rotation. Okay, so I'm giving some rotation. That type one is kind pain point kind of email, tactical tip, interview types of email, right? Myth busting type of roadmap, industries insight. Okay, and I'm giving some guideline, a CTA guideline, how to join this all thing, soft CTA. Okay, a lot of things. Okay, length, how to I'm controlling the length. That if you're writing the email, the length, the total email body should be this much word. Okay, email sentence just with this much word. Okay, keep paragraph short. Okay, font size, I'm also maintaining the font size. Keep the font size 70 px in HTML format. Okay, like this. I'm also giving some example. Email signature, you have to use my email. If you're writing this email, this should be the email signature of my email. Okay, formatting. Okay, language should be like this. Okay, want to avoid. Okay, so here I'm giving instruction, I'm giving a boundary, right, that you have to avoid these things. Okay, don't do direct selling, this all thing. Okay, yeah. And then I'm giving some example. This I want the output. Okay, I'm okay, JSON. Okay, I want the output in the JSON format. Okay, subject line, option multiple option, email body, nodes. You can see that I want this output. So LLM will generate email in this output. Okay, I'm giving some example. I've given one example like this. Okay, so like that, it's pretty long prompt. Yeah, so like that, if you have multiple segment, no, so make it more clear. Just add some separated. It's called clear separators. Okay, so this help to distinguish between instruction and the data. So I mean, it's become easy to read the LLM. Okay, it improves the readability for that purpose. Okay, this point is clear. Why we use delimiter structure to clear my segment. I'm just making a lot of segments.
Yeah, it's clear now.
To make it clear. Okay. And one more thing, yeah. Generally, I have seen that instead of doing don't, okay, I mean, I'm just giving instruction. I'm some setting boundary that you don't have to do like this. Okay, you have to avoid like that. Okay, so sometimes if you try, okay, you can. It is not a hard rule, but you try to do. Don't use much do. Okay, instead of them, you do what you have to do. Okay, for example, this is a poor prompt. Don't write too much detail. Okay. So instead of writing, don't write too much detail, you can say that provide a concise summary in 2 paragraphs. Okay. If you instead of doing don't, you just give an instruction what you need to do. Okay. But I have used this also. I mean, what to avoid. It also works. Okay. But try to make, if it is possible, that give instruction in the more positive sense. Okay, it will work better. You can try this again. It's not a hard rule, but you can try that. Okay. And then a structure output, I mean, in what format you want the answer. You want JSON or some specific format, or specific, you want list, tuple, what they support all the format. Okay. So these are the couple of guidelines. This is just that a rule, okay, that you can follow this. Maybe not everything you have to apply at the same time, okay. You have to do a tweaking. This can help or not help, like that, okay. But these are some couple of guidelines, okay. It's a best practice I'm sharing with you that generally I have seen that, okay. And the important thing is it should be very short, concise. Don't use a lot of verbs or repetition, okay. Make it very simple, and just make your mindset that I have a limited words. I don't have multiple words, multiple sentence. In the limited words, I have to tell a lot of things, okay. So that should be your mindset, okay.
But
And
you just showed me an example which is having a lot of tokens. So
yes, yes.
it's
And one,
contradicting.
yeah, yes, yes. One thing, that depends, okay. If you're using large language model, then you can use much tokens, okay. But you're using SLM, for example, Llama or kind of Mistral, some SLM model, okay. Always go with limited or less number of tokens. Try to optimize this. Maybe in suppose you're writing 200 300 kinds of words or number of sentences, try to make it optimal, because I have seen that, I've experienced that. Initially I was writing on 500 lines, okay. One prompt I wrote in 500 lines, okay, to find the source detection, okay. It was taking long time. It was, I mean, LLM because I'm giving a lot of context, right? So LLM understand that, because LLM size is not huge, okay. It's a small model. So also the number of lines, number of tokens depends upon the LLM size. If you're using this SLM, a small model, they will take longer time, or maybe they can hallucinate also, because they have not capability to understand all the things, all the context, okay. So again, it's come from trial, okay. So first I tried with 500 lines. It was taking a lot of time, around 6 second time, okay, just to get the output. So after 500 lines, I make it into 50 lines. Now I'm getting the same result in just 1 second, okay. So number of lines, number of tokens, it also impact. That depends upon the model type, which model you're using. It's a small model, large model, the context window, okay. That also help. That also you have to figure out, okay. So always try with, suppose you always try to optimize. The more you can optimize, your target should be how I can make it more optimized. I should get the same result, same accuracy with the more optimized version of my prompt. That should be your target. Because if it is more optimized, you will get faster result, and even LLM will understand faster. Okay. So don't write long I mean, if there's a requirement that, okay, you cannot achieve in 100 lines or something like that. Suppose you are solving very complex task, okay, where you have to show a lot of context, a lot of example, then it's obvious, okay. But in the case where it can solve in limited token or limited words, go with that. This is always we try for optimize. Because if you send, because what happens if you send a lot of tokens, it is also going to cost. If you're using LLM, you have to pay for that, right? So your tokens will increase, and you have to pay for that. So always try to optimize your prompt. Yeah, this, I think this can be optimized. What I showed you, this can be optimized. This can be further. It has a lot of lines. I know that it has more than 200. This can be optimized into 100 words, 100 lines. This can be further optimized. So always try to optimize. You should always target to how I can make it concise, more optimized, less number of words, less number of tokens, so that it can become more optimized. Even the cost will be lesser. Okay. So there are some couple of guidelines that you can follow. Okay. Again, it will come from practice. Okay. But I will always prefer you use LLM to generate prompt. Don't write prompt from a scratch. Okay. Yeah. So, and you should target for concise, verbose. Initially, that was my. I used to think that if I give a lot of example, a lot of context, I repeat, so it will work better. But I have experienced that if you add a lot of things, a lot of repetition, a lot of context, then it will start hallucinating and it becomes very slow. Okay. So don't do that. Always try for concise prompt. Okay. And make it always once you write the prompt, and Again, use LLM to further validate whether it's really good. Can I optimize it further? Okay, always your target should be always optimized. Okay, so you first do a lot of iteration, experiment that, okay, this prompt is this much length, how is the accuracy, how much giving the result. Let me try different, let me make it more better, let me try to optimize it. Instead of giving, for example, can I give two example? Okay, just like that. Okay, so create multiple version. Okay, it's more like an iterative approach. Okay, and see that in version 1, in version 2, version 3, what is the difference. So always try to optimize it. Okay, for example, here I'm giving one example that it's a bad prompt. Okay, it's a verbose prompt. Okay, here I want to do customer sentiment analysis. Okay, so you can see that I'm writing a lot of things. I'm unnecessary. I'm writing a lot of context. Just I'm thinking that it will help to LLM, but it not. Okay, so here I'm giving, you are going to be act like highly skilled, experienced sentiment analyst expert. This all thing is nonsense. I'm giving a lot of things. You can say that act like a highly skilled, experienced sentiment analysis expert. Okay, I'm saying you are going to be acting. This is an unnecessary. This is just eating the word. Okay, it is unnecessary actually. Okay, so these are paragraph is unnecessary. It is not required. Okay, so this, try to optimize it. Your sentence should be very optimized, very concise. Okay, so you're writing you are going to be acting as a highly skilled, experienced sentiment analysis expert who has been working in the field of natural language processing for many years. It's very long. Okay, so try to avoid this. You have a deep understanding of human emotions. Okay, your task today is to carefully analyze the sentiment of customers, review this all thing. When analyzing the sentiment, you should consider the following aspects. So I'm giving some rule here. Okay, and here's some guideline. Okay, these all these not necessary. Okay, and I'm giving a category that's positive, negative, and neutral. Okay, these all things I'm teaching them. And please classify the following review into one of the three category. Remember to be thoughtful, accurate of classification review. Okay, and provide your answer in the following format: sentiment. This is the output I want. Okay, so it's very verbose. Okay, I can make it optimized. There's a scope for optimization. Okay, so this is the optimized version. Well, so same thing, whatever this prompt can do, you can get the same, almost same result into just in the 47 tokens. This one is taking more than 742 tokens. Okay, but you can optimize further. Okay, so always see that whatever prompt you're writing is any scope for optimization. Can I make it concise? Can I reduce the number of tokens? I should not lose a context. Okay, in the same context. Okay, can I make it more optimized? That's what always should target. Okay, so here I'm giving some example here that this is taking more than 1,000 tokens. This is a code review. Okay, greetings. This is not required. This thing is not required. You are assuming the role of highly experienced senior software engineer with 15 years of industry experience. I'm giving the role here. This much lines is not required. In just 1-2 hours, you can tell them. Throughout your career, you have a review thousand of code submission. This all thing. I mean, you don't have to give a lot of story. Okay, so make it very short. Okay, and giving code quality example is all thing. Okay, so this everything I can make it shorter like this. I'm giving a role here, same thing, whatever you're writing here, I'm writing in a very 127 tokens. Okay, so this all thing will come from experience. Okay, I'm telling you, I know that it will not come in one day. Okay, but once you write it, once you start writing the prompt, it will come from experience. But these are some ground rule. Always target for optimize, concise. Don't use verbose. Don't use multiple sentences. Okay, the things you can tell them in just 2 words or one line. Just try to achieve that. Okay. So I'm giving this context. You are a senior sort Python engineer. Review this code for bugs, this, and return JSON. This is the output I want. Okay, this is the code. So whatever I'm writing here, same thing I'm writing in this short way. Okay, so there's no any fixed rule that how I can make it short. Okay, this is more like a skill or more like a arts. It is more like an art. Okay, there's no any hard rule or anything. It's more like an art to write a good prompt. Okay, so you can make it short. And I will prefer use always LLM. Okay, take the help of LLM to optimize your prompt. Okay. So these are some checklists. Remove parent like hello, thank you. These all things is unnecessary. Okay, hi, hello. These things you don't have to do that. Okay, remove the redundant instruction. Don't repeat thing. Okay, remove obvious context. Okay, all LLM already know the sentiment is okay. Use always structure output. Okay, remove example if zero sort. If something work without, first you try with without example, zero sort. Okay, if zero sort works without example, then go with that. If it is not working, if it is not giving accuracy, then try
Zero
with
shot
one to
means without giving examples, right?
without any giving example. Yeah, just I'm giving instruction and context. I'm not giving an example. Sometimes it works, okay, without example also, because it understand the context. You have given the context, given the instruction, you're giving the role, so it will understand. Okay, but suppose it's not working, it's not giving you right result, then you go give some example, add some example. Okay, and let us see how much it's getting accuracy. And you have to consider the speed also. Okay, it is not only accuracy, you have to get a balance between accuracy and performance, because this prompt, if you write a long prompt, lot of context, it will take time also. Okay, so based on your application, you have to get a good balance, a trade-off between performance and quality, accuracy. Okay, yeah, so yeah, so these are the things. Okay, and don't remove, if you have very critical step, if you have very strong constraint, okay, that you want into you, suppose you want very clear output, you want only JSON format, that you have to add it. Okay, you want something very strong constraint, critical constraint, then you should keep it. Okay, don't remove the output stuff. If you want some, you have some specific requirement that I want in that format. Okay, those things you can keep it. You have some, suppose you are working for some bank or insurance, you have some very critical compliance. Okay, which you cannot ignore that. LM should always think about this compliance. Okay, which is very critical, so which is very highly critical for your domain, for your task, that you can keep it. Okay, domain specific definition, these are things which should be always, don't remove this. These are very critical segment. Okay, which you have to train your LLM, you have to show the LLM that these are very critical part of in my task. Okay, so those things you have to keep it. But again, use shorter sentences, use concise way to write the things. Okay, don't build a story. Okay, it is not like a novel. Okay, don't build a long story, make it very concise. Okay, so concise is always that's our preferred target, that always we have to achieve for optimization, concise. Okay, earlier I used to make very verbose when I started. I thought if I give a lot of context, a lot of example, then it will work better, but it does not work better. It will consume a lot of tokens, it becomes slow. Okay, so make it very concise. Okay, good as of now, getting the context.
Yeah, but I think about the verbose concise because sometimes the verbose we give right might have a lot of insights in the prompt, but concise
Mhm.
we might miss out some careful data, right? I mean, some critical instructions.
Yeah, yeah, if
So
it's some critical instruction, that I think you have to add it, because that's an important part. You have to keep that critical part.
anyway, again,
Yeah.
we are just speaking about how we are basically inserting the LLM to give the required output, right? But here, no way we are training it. No? We are not
Mhm.
doing any training. Am I correct?
No, we are not doing any fine tuning. Okay, we are just giving,
Mhm.
it's called instruction training. We are just giving instruction.
Okay, okay.
Here we are changing just the behavior of my model. Okay, for example, email, I show the email, right? If I don't show the email, that how you have to write email, who is my customer, who is the pain point, they will write very generic email. They will write email. Okay, for example, this prompt which I showed you. Okay, they will write the email, but if I give more context, like who's my target audience, what they have pain point. Okay, so you're giving a lot of instruction. Okay, so you will, I mean, you're more making it more
But there is a
grounded.
possibility of hallucination also, right? Because we're giving a brief context. I mean, huge context.
Yeah, again, you have to make it concise. Okay, yeah, it can hallucinate, no doubt about it. You see,
Mm.
prompting is not like it will get 100% accurate answer. It is not a deterministic world. Okay, it's more like a indeterministic world. Okay, so prompting still can hallucinate. You will not get
Okay,
100% accuracy. Never. In AI
okay.
world, you will never get 100% accuracy. It can hallucinate. So you should have some backup, some fallback mechanism. If something wrong happened, then what next? So it will hallucinate, obviously. But for you can control with the temperature. If you in such cases we want very deterministic answer, like something extraction. Suppose in a query I want to extract some keyword. Okay, in that cases you can do a training and keep your temperature low. Something you want to generate emails, okay, then you can go with higher temperature. Something you want to write essays, generate emails, something generation part, you can go with higher temperature. But something which is very accurate, you want very accurate answer, for example, query generation, graph query generation, SQL query generation, or some extraction, some keyword extraction. Okay, in that cases, go with lower temperature, 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, like that, maximum 0.03. So temperature also help to get the exact uh, output. If you keep temperature low, you will get more deterministic answer. Okay. So there are some couple of guidelines. Okay, and yeah. So again, I'm writing some guideline here. This is a thumb rule that if task is critical, okay, and has a compliance requirement, okay, then you can use verbose prompt. Okay, I mean long prompt. Okay, I mean if suppose this part you cannot ignore, it's very critical, some guidelines, okay, which you want to show to LLM, then try to make it again. I mean you have to add it. You cannot avoid that. Okay, you have to add into your prompt, but again make it very short if you can. It okay. Otherwise, all the cases, 90% of the cases always target for concise, short, I mean, not big prompt. Okay. If you suppose you're writing email, suppose you're writing a prompt in 200, try to think, can I make it in 100 lines or 50 lines? Okay. Okay. Always try to reduce. That's what I have experienced. Okay. We always try to reduce number of context, number of things. If it is possible. If it is not possible, then okay. So because we have to achieve both, we have to achieve accuracy and performance. Both is critical for me. Okay. Yes. So there's some prompt example. Okay. So there are some core principle. So this is what I was talking about, the best practices that we follow in industry. Concise, structure, output, this all thing as persona. Okay. And always don't write prompt from a scratch. Always take help of AI tools. They will generate better from humans. So these are the some 6 pillars. Then clarity, be very specific. Okay, give a role to the prompt, so it become more specific, very specific. Give some context. Constraint, give some boundary. Okay, that these things you have to follow. These are the constraint. These are the outputs. Output structure. Give more constraint. Give some boundary. Okay, and format. Okay, these are all things. So role, persona, task, this is the format of prompt. Role, task, context, format. Give some format. Constraint, give some guideline. Constraint, some, if we add some example, few short example. Okay, so these are the guideline, core principle to writing a prompt. Okay.
In the initial right, first para, you gave one topic, exception handling. What is it about? Because that is missing here.
Exception handling, yeah, it's more like a fallback. Okay, let's suppose something. Let's suppose where is that?
The very first line. Yeah, yeah. Error handling, yeah.
Yeah. So suppose something wrong happens. Something is uncertain. Okay, you got some. I mean, you can add some fallback mechanism. Okay, in your prompt that suppose. Uh, let's suppose I have to identify 3 sources. Okay, I'm writing a prompt that based on the context this instruction, um, you have to identify 3 sources. Okay, source number 1, source number 2, source number 3. Okay, but let's suppose LM is hallucinating or LM is not able to identify 3 sources. Then what is the default source? So that is the, I mean, what is the fallback mechanism? Something, suppose you're not able to identify. Suppose you're not able to write. So suppose I'm asked you to write a query, write query, and suppose you're not able to write a query. Okay, so give me some result that suppose some result. Okay, suppose some format, some result that I'm not able to I'm not able to generate, or my accuracy is bad, something like that. Okay, so that you can take maybe in the code. Okay, suppose LLM is not handling that, it is not able to generate something. LLM will do this fallback. They will go to fallback, and you can handle it. Maybe in the code you can handle it. Okay, for example, I'm giving example. For example, in one of my tasks, I have to identify three source. Okay, source number one, I have three data sources. I have three kind of data sources in the backend. Okay, source number one, two, three. So I have given the example that this is for this case, for this kind of query, you have to identify source number one. For this, source number two, source number three. I have given the example. Okay, but I told that prompting is not 100% accurate. You will not get all. It can hallucinate. You cannot assume that it will be always 100%. You will get the 100% accurate data. It can hallucinate. Okay, in that cases, what is my default mechanism? So that is a case. Okay, so if my prompt is not giving result, then I'm getting some default value or some error value or something like that, and I can handle in my code.
Okay, okay, it's clear.
Okay, that it depends upon problem to problem, but you can do that. Okay, if nothing is certain, then what next? How I can handle it?
Because that is the one point missing in the 6 pillars now. That's what I asked.
Yeah. So there are a lot of edge. These are like corner cases, edge cases, corner cases. Okay, something can fail, then how to handle it? Okay. So these are the core principle, and okay. So whatever I have talked about right now, it's more like a guideline. Okay, these are all things we follow to write good prompt. Okay, it's come from practice. Okay, there are some couple of techniques I want to talk about. There are multiple techniques in industry that people follow. Okay, and this techniques you can use to solve problem. Okay, maybe you don't have to use all the technique in one shot in one prompt. Maybe you don't have to use all the techniques. Okay, but you should know this technique. There are some like zero shot, few shot. Okay, chain of thought. Okay, role based prompting, output we discuss. Okay, self consistency, react pattern. Okay, tree of thought, and prompt chaining is one of the concepts. Okay, and yeah, these are a couple of best practices. Not these are not practices. These are the techniques. Okay, there are some multiple techniques that we can use to write a prompt. Okay. So before going to prompting, before going to start this technique, a lot of technique, I just want to give example. Uh, Let us do some practice. Okay. So let's suppose, okay. Uh, hmm. I want to give a demo right now. Okay. So that we can understand. For example, okay, I'm just making up right now. Okay, I'm building one use case right now. So let's suppose I have a requirement, okay, that I have a write up prompt. Okay, I have suppose I have multiple. I have three sources. Okay, I have worked on this example. That's why I'm giving this demo. Suppose I have three sources. Okay, source number suppose A, source number B, okay, and source number C. Suppose it's my data source. I have three sources. Okay, so source number A is for any uh, mm, okay, suppose source number A, if user asks any question, regarding HR, okay, like employee detail, okay, department detail, okay, like salary detail, something like that, okay. So it should connect with that source number A, okay. Suppose I'm saying source A, okay. So if any question regarding HR, it should select, prompt should identify it's a source A, okay. If anything about question about suppose relationship, okay, suppose if anything about relationship, okay, for example, uh, mm, Not relationship. Okay,
You
suppose,
take it payroll, something like payroll.
yeah, suppose payroll, that an example. Okay. Something question about payroll questions. Okay. So then it could connect with the payroll system. Like when I will get myself something. Can you give some example of payroll questions? Can I for uh, or suppose something like admin. Okay. Okay. Still suppose admin. Okay. Something like admin questions. Okay. Uh, like mm, HR kind of questions and
Maybe like logistic, when will the travel will be allowed for main employees?
yeah,
Like logistic question.
yeah, policy, that kind of policy. Okay. Suppose policy, suppose I'm giving one example, policy. Suppose somebody asking about policy, like what is the policy for leave policy? What is the policy for travel? What is the policy for applying for passport? Something like policy. Okay. So it should, suppose I have a policy kind of knowledge base. Okay. So any questions regarding policies should pick me policy type of data source. Okay. And okay, let's suppose we have two only. I want to make it simple. Okay. I'm not taking an example right now. So let's suppose I have two data source. Okay, one for any question. One I have a HR source only. All the question like HR type. Okay, or any question like policy type. Okay, so I want to write a prompt. Okay, write a prompt to identify the source. Identify the source. This is my requirement. Okay, let's suppose if my query. Okay, suppose user query. This is the natural language query. User is giving this query. Okay, for example, what is the policy, what is the policy for apply leave? This is my query. Okay, so this query should pick policy source number B. Source number B. It should choose me for this kind of question. It could detect the it's a B source. Okay, if I ask this query that how many employee work in department IT. So it should give me, it should select a source. You got my point? So depending upon the nature of query, okay, so LLM will understand the intent of my query, okay, and it will pick the right source. This is clear for everybody?
Yes, this clear.
Okay. So here, see how now understand the prompting technique. Okay. So how the LLM will making decision. Okay, that this is my requirement, right? That I want to either connect with depending upon the user query, I connect with the other source A or source B. Okay, so how this LLM will get this training? Because LLM has not been trained on this kind of scenario, right? They understand the context, they understand this context relationship, everything they understand, but this kind of training they haven't we haven't given the training. Okay, so here with the prompting we are giving this element training that if these are the scenario, okay, these are the questions, you have to help me to choose these sources. So again we are giving how the LM will understand that I have to choose source A or source B depending upon the instruction training. Okay, so suppose I have to write this prompt. So how to get started? I'm just giving the demo right now. Okay, so how to write this kind of prompt? So can you try now? I mean, anything? Can you try right now? You're making something. Can you write a prompt from this? You understand scenario, right? This is the scenario. Okay. So whatever technique I told you, right? Role. Okay. Conciseness. Okay. Specific. Okay. And output. Right. Boundary. Limitation. Okay. Some example. These are some best practices which I have seen right now. So are you able to make up, I mean, can you write something? You can use LLM, or if you're not, don't write LLM right now. Just try your brain, okay? Try your mind and come up with some prompt, any 2 or 3 lines, anything for this question. Can you do right now or?
Yeah, we can ask it. This one.
Just try now. My requirement is that I have multiple query, this kind of query, and I have to detect the right source, either source A, which is HR, or source B, which is policy. So I have to write a prompt for this.
The role you can mention as you are an charisma or art charisma.
Yeah, we can give some role that you are expert in detecting the source, right source.
Okay. The role you can mention that you're an expert in detecting the classification, source classification, or
But detecting the right source, you are expert in source detection.
okay, you're expert in source direction. That is
Yes.
classification.
Yeah, that is a role you can assign.
Okay. The conversation.
Okay.
For the
Let's
user.
okay, let's do one thing. Let's try to use LLM. Okay. So I told her never write an email. Don't try to write from scratch. So let's see how we can utilize the LM to generate this. I want to use the LM to generate the prompt. Okay. So I will write a prompt to LM to give me prompt. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So let us choose that. So for writing a prompt, so again, if you want to use LLM to write a prompt, you have to give some example. Okay. For example, here I'm giving some. Okay. Let us see. I'm writing a prompt here. Okay. Write a prompt to identify a right source. Okay, there are two sources. A HR. Usually ask any question regarding HR like employment. Let me make it better. Employee department, salary, etc. Then select source A, HR. So generally I write prompt. Okay, I write a lot of cases with prompt, and okay, and this is one thing. Sources. If user asks any question about policy, like what is the policy for apply leave, okay, etc. Then source should be B, policy. Okay, and I want the result in JSON, like I'm giving example, like source column A, okay, A, if source detected, otherwise. This is my error handling. Source, suppose I'm saying not found, something like that. Okay. So this AI tool, I have given example that I have to write this prompt. Okay. Let us see. And I'm asking to write a prompt. Okay. So writing a prompt, again, I'm writing a prompt. Okay. I'm asking LM to write a prompt for me. It will generate a prompt. Okay. Yes. So it is using free shot. Okay. Can see that. Identify the correct source for this question. A, HR, employee, department, salary. B, policy. This is the thing. Example. What is John's salary? Source will be A. How do I apply for leave? Source B. What is the weather today? You can see it's out of context. It will give not found question. Okay. So you can pretty much use this prompt. Okay. So like this, you can use, It is just 49 words. I think you can try this. Again, I'm not claiming that it's the right prompt. We have to try. I mean, you can try this. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this is one of the example.
In
Let's
this format, we are given the role and context and also the expected output and the error
yes,
handling part
yes.
and fish shot is
Yeah, fish out output and example
but we
and
didn't specify any boundaries, no? Or boundaries also outside not found.
yeah, it's a boundary. Handling the error. Nothing is suppose something and the query is something out of bound, out of context. It
Okay.
is not matching that. It will say out of bound, and I will handle it. If I call this prompt, okay, then in my code I can handle it. If I get the source not found, what I have to do.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what. Okay, so it is following all the guidelines, whatever we have understand. Okay, so you don't have to write form from a scratch. You take help of AI tools, ask them to generate, but for that you have to give a lot of details like this. Okay. Let's suppose you want to generate SQL query. I think you have work on, right? Generate a SQL query, right? So you have written a prompt. Okay, so I can write here a prompt. I can ask LM to generate a prompt. Okay, write a prompt to generate a SQL query, okay, for given user query. Okay, these are the schema. These are the schema to refer. Okay, you can give a schema like whatever schema like user detail, right? User table, okay, and department table, whatever. You just pass everything here, okay. And also see the output. I want this in output like that. Okay, so first don't try to write from scratch. Use this tool and generate the query first. Generate the prompt like this. It will generate the prompt. Okay, you can try that. Okay, yeah. So that's what I follow. That's personally I follow that this way. Okay, I don't write prompt from scratch. I give whatever is I want to achieve. Okay, I just pass here and I ask Copilot to generate the prompt. For example, I'm giving one example. Suppose I had one example that I have a graph database, okay, in my application, okay, and graph database has a lot of nodes. It has multiple nodes and multiple edges, okay. So I'm giving complete schema to my prompt, ChatGPT, okay. I'm telling them to generate a prompt to generate the right and give me prompt to generate the graph here. Okay, so that I'm using LLM for generating. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, you try that. Okay, so next part will be like multiple techniques. Okay, so that I will discuss later. Okay, so
So, okay. Can you explain about use case you're using? You just tell me, right? Some examples about